quorum to do this special meeting here. We're gathered here at the Granbury Resort Conference Center at 621 East Pearl Street, Granbury, Texas. It's February 27, 2018. It's 8:30. The Granbury City Council emergency meeting is now called to order. Our first item on the agenda, on the deliberation agenda, and the only item, is to discuss a city's wastewater treatment plant emergency repairs and consider adopting ordinance 18-18, amending the utility fund to cover the emergency repair expenditures, utilizing that fund contingency budget up to $100,000. And I'm going to call upon our city manager, Chris Kaufman, to kind of brief the council on what we're doing here. Is that,
yeah,
Chris?
I'll just go up there so we'll pick up on the microphone.
Better get up there so you can get the...
I got Rick here too. Come on, Rick. Since we got a microphone. Thank y'all for coming on such short notice. Local government code requires that when we have a emergency like this, well, not only local government code, but the accounting principles require us to appropriate the funds for something like this, which kind of mandated this as an emergency meeting. Obviously, the sewer plant has failed. The two aeration basins went out. They kind of patched one together over Monday morning, and we got some prices to figure out what to go forward with. And I'll turn that over to Rick. But the situation is, if we didn't have this meeting, we would have violated the law by appropriating the money and then coming to you later. So our auditor would ding us on that. So I don't want to get us in trouble with the auditor at a future date. But it's not a big problem that we can't handle, but we need to get this repair done so that we don't pollute the waters. And I'll let Rick talk about what's going on and how it got to where it is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for coming. Short notice. Much needed. I'll try to be as brief as I can. Some of you know that's going to be difficult for me to do, especially when I talk about what I do for a living, serve our community. The wastewater plant, everything I'm about to tell you, let me preface it by saying it's wastewater plant was built in 2000. It's 2018. The useful life of this resource is coming to an end. And wastewater is a tough deal. It's corrosive to gas, and so it's a little more, it's harder on most metals than a lot of things that we do there. And so late last year, there's two aeration basins in the wastewater treatment plant. The water comes in there, and the sludge, and it's hit with air at high pressures and circulates it around. These two basins hold about 500,000 gallons apiece, and there's an arm, a pivot in the middle that circulates this air and keeps it moving. So late last year, the center point in aeration basin number 1, the bearings started going out. That was the loud hissing noise that you heard. Compounded by the fact nobody makes these parts anymore. We're destined to have a sole provider. Nobody has these parts in stock. We had to have it made. That kept pushing the clock back. Everything kept pushing me back as I went along. Having said that, we finally got prices. As Chris alluded to the purchasing laws, we still felt like we need to give more than one quote to justify the use of public money. That kept pushing it back. Couldn't find it. Finally found one. Got that, but they were a lot higher than the one we had. So we had to show our due diligence in that respect for the purchasing laws. Again, the clock just kept ticking. The sound kept getting worse. We're still okay as far as the smell, and we have to maintain certain levels for the state in our chemicals and our bacterias and our total dissolved solids. And we have compliance. We sure don't want that basin going septic. It's the last thing we got to do. So we got to keep something going. We have to keep air going in there, keep it circulating. So we band-aided aeration basin 1. We got the pricing. We got it all gathered up. That was still under the threshold that Chris mentioned in the purchasing laws, so we had to come here today. We're still under the $50,000. Last week, aeration basin number 2, why wouldn't it give us some problems too? It's the same age, it's the same piece of equipment. Some of the diffusers, those long tubes that go down in here to disperse that air pressure to keep it circulating, failed. Lost a couple of them, they fell down in the basin. So, we had it scheduled, as luck would have it, to start working on aeration basin number 1 yesterday. Finally got the manufacturer here, we got a cranes, 2 cranes mobilized in order to remove that arm, plug the aeration basin when it fits in. Long story short, I felt it was an emergency because I have to have one of these basins working at all times. That wastewater for our town has got to have some place to go. I've got to treat it. So, having said that, I gathered up some information and some cost estimates. What that did, it pushed it over the threshold of the $50,000, basically up to almost 60 right now. Having said that, I haven't got into aeration basin number 1. You never really know what you got if you go in there and start digging around. I hope it's just the bearing, I really do. It surely will be, but I don't know that. That's why the amount I'm requesting this morning is over $60,000. I need some kind of cushion to help me in case of my So aeration basin 2, I lumped these together because I felt emergency, and plus I only we have to have divers come out here and dive into that sewer water. Yeah, should have been down there yesterday. I don't know what those guys are getting. I know what those guys are getting paid. It ain't enough. And anyway, they were down there for a long time. Aeration basin we plugged number 1. We're going to de-water that. We're going to drain the water down so we can get in there and get the cranes hooked up. And my guys can replace that bearing. We hope to do that today. Yesterday, what we did while we're doing all that, we literally fished out with a man down there with a hook and a crane and a chain and pulled that diffuser out of that basin so we can operate it. Because if it was going around there in circles, it would hit it and be functional that way. So we got that done, replaced a few more of those diffusers that had problems and wore out and stuff. Shot the air, and also it has started leaking. The hose started leaking like one did. So we got that repaired and started up yesterday before Jason and I left, and it is operating, functional, and it is quiet. It's the one by your house, and of course number 2. Number 1 is the one by Kathleen. So, number 2 is functional, operational. Am I taking too long?
No, you're right.
I'm just waiting on it.
Okay, that's my cue to hurry up. So really, the trouble with aeration basin number 2 is low. It pushed it over that threshold, and that's why Chris called the emergency meeting. You know, we're kind of show up. So I stand here this morning with my hand, one hand out. 2, I need some funding to keep my plant going, and I think we're headed in the right direction. I need your help this morning to make that happen.
You know, Rick, and I think the council's going to agree with this. I know that there's been conversation about this, but we're talking about what we need right now, right, Chris? I mean, this is emergency funding that we need to fix a problem that's not going to fix itself without being funded. But I know the council is going to be set up here thinking, okay, we're hearing a lot about the deterioration. We're hearing about the age of this plant. What's going to happen next before we get another plant? And I know that's probably not going to be talked about here because we're really talking about the funding for right now. But that's an issue that we're going to be bringing forward in the budget and later on, because as we get closer to having to have a new plant, this one's going to start deteriorating. So, and my question for Chris would be, any type of funding that we can get, any kind of thing that we can get to help us out on an existing plant. I'm sure that you have researched that, right, Chris?
Yeah, there's not a lot of folks.
I didn't think there was.
And you can get, some low interest loans from Water Development Board for sewer plants and rehabs and things like that. Like 1%, 1.5%, which is pretty affordable. But, we're doing a study, as y'all are aware of. We commissioned them in October to study our solid waste system, put together a master plan for that. We're expecting a final report within the next 35, 40 days. So we're going to be meeting with our capital improvement committee and talk about those issues, and then ultimately sometime in April we expect to be bringing a report to the council, not only of the capital improvements needed, but also the impact fees we need to adopt to help fund that in the future moving forward. So We say 20 years is useful life. They last longer than that. The concrete will last longer than that. The moving parts have to be replaced. That's kind of where we're at. It's the alarm. We budgeted for you know, $30,000 worth of a pump that we expected that might go out. So we also had some other money in there for repairs and stuff. And but since the overall project, if you add up all the components, is over $50,000, we need council action. And so what I would like to do is, in the utility fund, we budgeted $100,000 for contingency or something like this, and we would like to appropriate that into this project, into the sewer plant. So we probably won't spend it all, but we anticipate that if we run into something else associated with this repair, it's going to cost more. We need to have the funds available. So it is contingency. It's not like we didn't plan on having an emergency or whatever, but we're in pretty good shape with that going. But if we need to still replace that pump before the year's over with, here we go again. So why don't we just put this contingency over where it needs to be and appropriate it that way, and then we're ready to roll. The pumps, you know, are expensive. We budgeted about $30,000 for that pump, and they need to be changed out. They're the most corrosive. They're pumping the most corrosive stuff that we have, and those poor guys diving. If you fall into that aeration basin, you can't swim. You will sink and you will drown because there's not enough oxygen in there for you to be able to swim. It's a negative environment where you can't survive. So the only way they can do it is the way they're doing it. And I don't know if y'all have been out there, but that aeration basin, the sewer comes in, it comes through a bar screen, and it goes into this big tank, and it circulates, and the bacteria eat the sewage, and the water is like a chocolate shake with stuff in it. So it's very ugly, and that's why you have the odor that comes from there, and then the sludge that comes out of that is going through a press, and that causes the odor as well. And so we've done everything we can at that plant to make it odor-free as possible, or less offensive. But as we move forward, and the study is going to break down a new plant somewhere else, or rehabbing that plant and building another plant, or vacating that plant and going to a new plant, we'll have to make those decisions as a council moving forward. But that'll probably come to you in April or May. So for now, we're just trying to keep this plant. Even if we were to build a new plant, we're going to still need to maintain this one until we're through with it, or we keep revitalizing it for the future. So the noise that occurred this weekend was from aeration 2 failing. Sounded like, from my house, it sounded like somebody had an air chisel across the canal. That's how loud it was. So it was pretty loud, and the neighbors were very patient with us. So, but the bottom line is, we're on the road to get it fixed this week, and barring any unexplained emergencies beyond what we have analyzed so far, we're good to go. So that's all we need, just asking the council to, number one, recognize the emergency, and number two, approve the ordinance to appropriate the funds. Any questions?
And the motion needs to be, council, that we need to incorporate the dollar amount in that motion, right?
Yeah, up to 100,000, not to exceed the contingent amount.
And I would encourage any council member that wants to make an appointment to go out there and take a tour of that thing. It is interesting. I went on one of them, and it's pretty interesting on what goes on over there. So I'm sure Rick would accommodate that, and if someone wants to take a tour of that.
We financed that plant, I believe, for 25 years.
Yeah.
And so we're on year 18, is what you're telling me. So we still got some more years on it before it's paid off. We did a low interest loan back in the day through USDA, and you know, it's just the tools of time to use to finance the sewer plant. So anyway, any questions? Thank you all for coming.
Hey, thank you guys for, I know we squeezed you guys on your budgets, and thanks for having the foresight to kind of see this coming. It's always, as a council, it's always better to expect these things and then not happen than it is to not expect them, and then we're rushing around trying to find money under a rock somewhere.
Yeah.
So thanks for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Council, if there's no more discussion on this item, I'll entertain a motion then to consider adopting orders 8818, amending the utility fund and covering the emergency repair expenditures for the city's sewer treatment plant utilizing the utility fund emergency budget up to $100,000. So moved. I have a motion by Councilman Greg Corrigan,
Second.
and a second by, sounded like you do, and a second by Councilperson Reiner. Any more discussion on that, council? If no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. That is approved. Council, do we have any more discussion? If no further discussion, I will, at this time, adjourn the special council meeting. Adjourn.
Thank you.
Mr. Bud?